Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order. This meeting is being recorded. Is anyone else recording the meeting? Okay, seeing none. Could we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, welcome everybody. All right, let's start out with special recognitions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So there are two actually, and with your approval, we'll do a moment of silence following just a brief overview of each. So the first one, Patricia Hvac passed away on Thursday, June 20th, after a brief illness. Pat lived in Auburn her entire life, graduating with the Auburn High class of 1956. She also served as an elementary teacher in the Auburn schools from 1960 to 1968, and she returned to the Auburn Public Schools as a substitute for approximately 20 years once her son had reached school age. Pat leaves her husband of 53 years, Martin Chick Hvac of Auburn, her son Patrick and his wife Nancy, and their children Jack and Nick of West Hartford, Connecticut, her sister Kay Malcasian and husband Paul of Winter Haven, Florida, and her brother George, Sherry, and wife Judy of Porter, Maine. Both Pat and her husband Chick have been long-time and dedicated supporters of the Auburn Public Schools, particularly our athletic programs. It was a rare occasion to go to any athletic event and not see the two of them there. Secondly, more recently on September 2nd, Jake Blaze, 88 years of age of Auburn, formerly of Rhode Island, died peacefully. After proudly serving in the United States Army during the Korean War, Jake began his career as a custodian in the Auburn Public School District, working at both Auburn High and Packagug Elementary School for a total of 31 years. He took pride in keeping the schools clean and safe for the students who knew and loved Jake, retiring in 1996. He loved baseball, coaching Babe Ruth in Auburn, and always cheering on the Red Sox, at least when they were winning. In addition to his wife Kathleen, Jake leaves 2 daughters, 4 grandchildren, and his first great-granddaughter, who he was so happy to be able to meet. So if you would join me in a moment of silence in memory of both Patricia Hvac and Jake Blaze, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
And thank them for all their service. Next, we have citizens' comments, and seeing no citizens. The student representatives, do you guys have a report?
Yes. Do you want to go first? All right, so the unified basketball team has just begun, so they started their practices this week, I believe. Student council had a night meeting last night. They created a lot of what we do on the grand staircase of the high school is we do either pink hearts or pink ribbons to represent breast cancer for Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October. So last night they started making some of those to prepare to hang them up in October, which is now. Wow, it's October already. Okay. We also discussed volunteer opportunities such as the haunted hall we do every year, which consists of we get a bunch of candy, just like Halloween trick-or-treating, except in the band area lockers. We have the kids walk through, and they can either have like a scary haunted hall, not so scary, and they trick-or-treat in the lockers and stuff. So we always do something fun with that. And then there's crafts. It's just a big event, usually on Halloween, but I think it's the day before Halloween this year. And then trunk-or-treat as well is coming up, where it's an Auburn event. And curriculum night, as well as the blood drive. That is coming up soon too. Unfortunately, I'm not tall enough to donate, but that's also not a bad thing either. NHS, the David Broder race is coming up as well on October 20th. We always find a way to volunteer. It's a beautiful event. Usually the weather's good. It's either cold, it's either hot, or in the middle. But Mr. Berg has volunteer opportunities for those in NHS to make goodie bags, to make, help set up the actual race venue and things like that. Tutoring is also going well after the QR code and the scanning and the overall all school sign up. We had a great success. And then homecoming weekend is October 19th and the 20th.
For some other clubs at Auburn High, math team just had their first meet today, which I just came from math team to here. This year we just moved up division because last year we had a really good season. Right now, a little bit rough because after you move up, it's a lot more competitive schools in a different division, but we still had a good showing. Maura Anish got the Auburn High's top score. I came in second, I'm perfectly fine with that. And for marching band, we just recently had our home show, which was a big success. It was really nice having other local bands come, because we usually don't get to see them as often. So it's really nice to get to meet with schools like Narragansett and David Prouty and South Hadley. And I actually met Narragansett's drum major at a drum major academy, went to over the summer, so it was really nice to see her again. So it's been a good little streak for marching band. And this week we are starting a new circuit. It's called NESBA, and it's also going to be a really, really competitive competition, and we're also excited to do that.
Great, thank you very much. Do you guys have any questions or anything?
Thank you. I just have one about the math competition. Do they give you math problems individually or to a team to solve?
Both. So there's 5 individual rounds. Each person, so there's 5 people to a team. Each person competes in 3 out of the 5 rounds. So you have to be exempt from 2 of them. And then at each round, you have 10 minutes to answer 3 questions. The first one is easy, medium, hard. And you just kind of work through them as the rounds go on. Every single competition, the topics change. So today was just like algebra and arithmetic, and there was like set theory, which we haven't learned yet, so that was a little bit rough too. But so there's 5 individual rounds with you participate in 3, and then there's a final team round at the end where the entire team works on a set of 8 problems, and you also have 10 minutes. So that's just how the scoring goes.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I always wondered.
Anything else?
Do you get calculators?
No, it's all no calculator.
Cell phones under the table.
Yeah.
No.
Allie, do you have a date for the haunted hallway yet, or is it?
October 30th, I think, right?
Okay.
Yeah, October 30th.
All right, my daughter loves it, so it's great.
Usually it's on Halloween, so it's easy to remember, but I think it's the day before
Day
this
before.
time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. And what is this height requirement for a blood drive?
Yeah, you have to be.
I had no idea.
Well, I think you have to be at least 5'1", and every time I go to the doctors, it's always like, oh, you got there, but then sometimes it's like, oh, you're not quite there, so it's like, no. You have to weigh a certain amount and then be a certain height too.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't either. I'm too excited. I'm like, yeah, it's too short. I'm like,
I was
Well,
5'1"
okay.
in first grade.
Tell us about that.
Oh, my goodness. That's
I
funny.
also didn't donate blood in first grade either.
All right, guys, great report. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
I'm going to seek approval of the minutes of September 18th.
I'll make that motion to approve the minutes of September 18th.
Can I get a second?
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote.
I think I have to abstain, correct? Because I wasn't there.
All right, we have 1 abstaining. Okay, and I'm going to turn over to
Night.
Dr. Brunel
Good
for
night.
the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the first item on this evening, we have Mrs. Chrissy Crusoe, who, as you know, works at Swanson Road as a music teacher, but this year she's also finishing her day at the middle school to continue the strings program. So if you remember, as a school committee, this proposal came forward actually from Mrs. Crusoe and a colleague to bring the strings program to our students, and through your support and creative scheduling, those are offered before school at no additional charge, because we changed the schedule for Mrs. Crusoe and now Mrs. Spidell. And so parents still need to pay for the instrument itself, but it's been great. And as you can see from these numbers, which Mrs. Crusoe will share a little bit more about, it is a vibrant and growing program. So if you want to come to the podium, that would be great.
All right, hello everybody.
Aye.
Fabulous to be here, per usual. So I'm Chrissy, and
we have had such a great, at least start of the year this year in terms of our programs at Swiss. So Miss Megan Spidel, who is now the band director / general music teacher at Swiss, we have 46 students in the band this year, which we continue to grow every year. You know, the interest is getting more, which is wonderful for us. And quite frankly, last year our band sounded pretty top notch at a 5th grade level. So that's so exciting. The string program, which I am incredibly proud of, you know, especially starting it in such an amazing district like Auburn, we have exploded, which is a beautiful thing. So this year I have 75 beginners, which makes for a really interesting after-school lesson, but it is not just me. Miss Renee Renahan, who is now a senior at Worcester State, is working with me as well as my cello specialist. So we have 75 students in our, 76 actually as of today, in our beginning program. We have 31 in our 2nd year program. We have 33 in our 3rd year program, and we have 21 at this point in our middle school program. So this was a proposal that came just a few years ago, and you were all gracious enough to allow, you know, this to begin, and the community as well as the students have really gravitated towards it. Something that's really awesome is I've been in touch with Jack, who is the director of the Worcester Youth Orchestra, and 2 years ago now, we started Stringapalooza, which is something that happens here in Auburn, and we take, at this point, this year it'll be almost 200 students will be in Auburn performing. So it's a great way for our students to see what other groups look like, and what, you know, and at this point, my sixth grade students have the opportunity to audition for that group, which no one has taken up on it yet, but we're gonna get there. So it has been such a fantastic couple of years here, and so this year I am over at the middle school every day after school. Scheduling has been interesting. It's been a little bit tough. We've had to make some adjustments, but we're all a work in progress, and the kids have been really great, and we've just been working together to make things work. This year, the 6th grade students are actually going to be participating in Rocket Fest, which is a competition that the choral students as well as the band students over at the middle school participate in. That's where they perform. They're judged by local directors, they're given a grade, then they get to work with the students on some of the things they do, and then they go to Six Flags. So what's really awesome is for the first time ever, the string program actually gets to participate in this, which is going to be incredible and fun and very scary. I know personally as a director, it's like, oh, what am I doing wrong? What can I do better? But like I said, it's all one big learning experience. I'm also super excited that I'm about to put forth, and I'm going to be asking Susan if I can take our 5th grade students to go see the BSO. Every year they run a student, like a student-centered concert in the morning, and lucky for me, I got all my information, and we even get to meet the musicians beforehand, so the kids get a one-on-one with some of the bass players, with some of the cello players. And this is a great opportunity because so many of our students don't get the opportunity to go into a city like Boston and specifically see the Boston Symphony play. And they are an incredible group of musicians. So we're doing wonderful. I'm really excited for the string program to hopefully continue on in the following years, making us one of the only districts in our area that actually have a string program, a band program, and a choir program. So we're just awesome. We're just awesome.
We are awesome.
That's what we are. So that is my musical update.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions?
I have one. What is the relation of girls to boys as far as numbers go?
So it really depends on which year. I can tell you right now that in my beginning strings, I have 42 boys to whatever that math is, to that grade. I have so many boys, which
Okay.
is, which I think a lot of people think string instruments and they think, oh, girls. But
Yeah.
what they don't realize is you have Itzhak Perlman, you have Yo-Yo Ma, you have some of the most famous string players that are men. So when a boy comes up to me and goes, that's a girly instrument, I'm like, false. Let me quick show you a video.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. So it depends on
Good.
grade level, but it's pretty good right now.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's great. My 4th grade daughter, Caitlin, is part of the strings program, first time this year, and she is pumped. So she, evidently someone told her no one's allowed to touch it except for her. And
And I was like, if your parents yell at you, you tell them the only person allowed to touch it is you or me. That's it.
that's exactly what she said. And I went to put it in the box one day, and she's like, don't you dare touch that.
Yes, that would
Mrs.
definitely
Caruso
be on
said
me.
no one could touch it. That's so funny. Thank you so much, and as you know, you can come to us, we're here to support you guys, and it's such a great program that
Awesome.
you guys
Yeah,
run. We're lucky.
I just called my parents before I came here, and I was reflecting on my own experience in like middle and high school, and how I feel like I only survived, because of the music program. And I mean, some kids, they do sports, some kids are good at math, math club. Ooh. Some kids do science. But we have so many students that are not only great at many things, because I have kids that are doing field hockey and track and violin, and they're like, I don't know how to practice. I'm like, good luck, 10 minutes before bedtime. But it's such a beautiful thing that we can give our students this opportunity, because you do have kids that come out of the woodwork that wouldn't want to be band people because none of those instruments spoke to them, but that listen to something like a beatboxing cello player in my class and are like, wow, this is what I want to do, because this is so fabulous and so wonderful. So thank you, because I think having the opportunity to present this in Auburn, it's just an incredible experience for both me and for them.
Yeah,
So thank
that's
you.
amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Yes,
everybody.
thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Chrissy. So the next item on the agenda, as we do annually, the capital improvement program we send forward to Mr. Kazanovich and Town Manager Jacobson. So I want to thank Mrs. Worsbicky and Mr. Fahey, along with all of the principals. They went and met with each of them. So it's challenging sometimes to try and project 5 years out, but I applaud what they have put together here. So as you'll note, it totals $971,000. But in particular, in 2025 at the high school, we just replaced the football field. And if you've not yet seen it, it'll actually be on one of the slides in the fall special town meeting presentation that I will do. It's simply spectacular. But we will be looking to replace the all-purpose field, and in communications with Mr. Kazanovich, he's recommended we note it this way, because if you'll recall, $300,000 was taken from stabilization as the down payment, and the rest was financed. So it's to be determined how that will happen, but we're anticipating the cost to be somewhere in the vicinity of $400,000 to $450,000, depending if financing is needed. So it is our recommendation that you approve the 2025 CIP as noted.
Can I get that motion?
Make a motion to approve the FY 2025 CIP as presented.
A second?
Second.
Any questions or anything?
Yeah, just one. Why are we already replacing the HVAC system at the middle school?
So through the chair, I'm glad that you asked that. I meant to mention that. So that really is not replacement of any HVAC units. It just, at that point, they'll be 10 years old, so it's going to be replacing some of the major parts within them. So it's not the replacement of the unit itself.
Okay.
And what is the stage lift exactly for Bryn Mawr?
So we have students who, the only way to access is through stairs, and some children can't do that.
Okay.
So the idea would be to put it on the gym floor, we'd be able to raise them so that they could get up to the
Okay,
level
great.
two.
That's
Yes.
awesome. All right. Okay, thank you.
The next item in your packets, and I actually gave you a corrected one.
I
You
don't
should.
think we voted on that.
Oh, you know what? You did.
Oh, geez, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Ms.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, it is a vote.
My apologies.
Thank you, Gail.
So in the packet, the October 1st count, as you can see, which is really quite a coincidence, we have 2,637 students. It should be, I don't know if I printed the right copy, I may not have. We actually have 2,637 students, the exact number this year, as we did last school year. So I will get you the corrected, no, I think I did. So you should have a corrected copy at your seat, maybe. I was looking at the old one.
Yeah, I have it.
Okay, good. So it's 2,637 students this year. Now, there was movement. As you can see, we lost 14 students at Bryn Mawr, had 12 new ones at Swiss, 9 new at the high school, 1 new at the middle school, and 6 less at Packagug. So this information does include, as you know, is noted on there, our school choice students. And through Mrs. Berkowitz, our data manager, this data, without the school choice students, will go forward to the state, which is what they consider their official record for October 1st.
It's weird that we have the exact same number
It's
as
really
last year.
unique.
Yeah.
It is really unique. I couldn't agree more. The next item, as we do annually, Mrs. Grimo has outreached us seeking a representative from the Teachers Association for the John E. and Ethel E. Riley Award Committee. We had a record number of teachers who expressed interest in this, and I thank all of them. We had Mr. Bonaccio from the high school, Mrs. Guitar from Packagug, Mr. Caswell from the middle school, Mrs. Bush from the middle school, Mrs. Rivera from the middle school as well. As you've asked in the past, and it's up to you who you decide to nominate, the two who do reside in Auburn are both Mrs. Guitar and Mrs. Bush. But all of the volunteers, I was so appreciative that they had expressed their interest in doing so.
Okay, do we have a preference on who we'd like to appoint for that?
How many, we appoint one?
Yeah, one
Yes.
person,
Well, we
yeah.
were alternating originally with
Yeah,
Denise
did
Collins.
Doreen do it last year?
So
I
through the
can't
chair, it
remember.
was between Mrs. Collins, who retired in June,
Yeah.
and Mrs. Guitar.
Yeah.
So to my knowledge, this is the first time that Mrs. Bush has volunteered for this, to do it.
Do we want to give her a shot?
Yeah, I'd nominate Mrs. Bush. I don't know.
Okay, everyone on board with that? Okay, can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to have Mrs. Bush serve as the educator representative on the Riley Award Committee.
A second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mrs. Bush it is.
Great, we'll notify her, and we'll also notify the other members and thank them on your behalf and ours as well.
Yes,
Yeah, thank you.
thanks so much.
So earlier I mentioned about the passing of Mrs. Patricia Klapka. Her family recently reached out and is setting up a scholarship in the amount of $200 for the next 5 years. The caveat being that it go to an Auburn High graduate who is planning on furthering their education specifically in the teaching position. So it is my recommendation that you accept this scholarship fund with gratitude and sympathy.
Could I get a motion for that?
I make a motion to accept the Patricia Ann Kopka Scholarship Fund with gratitude and sympathy to her family for their loss.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And, yeah, thank you very much to them. That's very generous.
And then, as you know, with your support, we started what we term a Helping Our Own Fund several years ago. The class of 2008, Mrs. Worsbicky was reviewing through. They actually had $1,863 remaining in their coffers, so they have chosen to donate that to the Helping Our Own Fund. So with your approval, this evening we will send them a note of thanks.
Okay.
Make
Another
a motion to accept with gratitude the donation in the amount of $1,863 from the class of 2008 to the Helping Our Own Fund.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to unfinished business.
So just a reminder that the fall special town meeting will take place on October 15th, and we did leave at your seats. We recently received the warrant as well as the recommendations from the Board of Selectmen and Finance Committee that you may wish to take on the 15th with you.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Also in your packet, Mr. Kazanovich, on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, had requested a brief update or some more information, I should say, regarding what the stage upgrades, the warrant article that you had approved. So included in your packet is what we were seeking for this. So it would be to replace portions of the stage floor due to wear and tear, as well as upgrading the existing projector so it's connected permanently to the booth. We don't have to have that temporarily set up. Also under unfinished business, just a reminder that we will be going to the school committee superintendent conference, which is May 6th to the 9th. They have reached out and are seeking a representative on the, to serve as the delegate for the assembly on Friday, November 8th.
Okay, does anyone want to volunteer for that one? You guys hope to. Gail, are you interested?
Not really.
No.
I did it once.
Um,
Someone else's turn.
yeah. Should we wait for George for that one?
You certainly can, yes,
Okay.
this time.
All
There's
right.
another meeting before then, so you certainly can do that, yes.
All right, we'll put that off then.
Okay.
Shouldn't we just nominate him now? since-
Yes, I think so. Can we do that?
Yeah, isn't that
Certainly can.
in Robert's rules when someone says, hey,
I
you
think
nominated
so.
for all
I
the
think it's in
stuff?
the book, yes.
I think we're going to be drawing straws for that one.
Yeah, because sometimes he isn't doesn't make it to all the days of the
Yeah, true.
conference.
It's
Yeah.
falling on me slowly but surely. So.
So we'll add that to the meeting of the 15th.
Okay, thank you.
In terms of budgeting priorities, we did note the ones originally as well as those that came forward for suggestions and recommendations. If there are any others, know that we are very interested in hearing what those are too. And then finally, we had, as I think I had shared with you at an earlier meeting, the town had put together what they're terming a wish list to share with Eastland partners who are building the reserve at Ashworth Hill. So I'm noticing now, I don't know if you have a copy in your packet, I don't seem to have one in mine, but I will share it. I'll have Mrs. Zotner send it to all of you via email. But the items that the school department, I had met with Mr. Fahey as well as Mrs. Worsbicky, and a couple of the items that we had listed on there. We had started work, Mr. Fahey and I, and a group of individuals, to potentially put a cross-country track behind the middle school that went up into the field area there. So we thought that would be something good. The other thing that we had put in there is that we're seeking in 2025, sooner, to replace the actual track around the high school, because they were talking about things that people who live there may be able to use. And while we noted that the high school track cannot be used during the school day, in the evening and things, it's a good walking location. So we had requested that they donate a portion of money towards that project. I think it was about $125,000. We did also note on there that should we get the number of students in that are anticipated, it would likely mean additional staff, but there's a statement on their part that with the additional taxes that would come through that project, that would help to pay to fund those. So it was really more for capital projects. As noted in here, Mrs. Jacobson brought it to the Board of Selectmen just this Monday evening. I'm not sure if they took any action on it. It really is through the board that they might actually request the item. So I'll keep you posted, and I will email that to you tomorrow.
Okay. All right, and new business?
So just wanted you to be aware that as a school district, we were talking about the issue of vaping and the concerns around that, even prior to Governor Baker's ban on the sale of products through January of 2020. So one thing, we actually have someone coming, a representative, it's actually through UMass, but it's out of the district attorney's office to come and speak to parents. The one caveat was that they only would come if there was a captive audience. So we originally had the high school curriculum night, well, just to ensure that there would be people
Yeah.
there on October 10th. The individual who's going to speak was already booked. So Mr. Hanfield checked with his team. We've moved the curriculum night to October 17th. So at 6 o'clock that evening, from 6 to 6:30, there'll be a presentation at the high school, which we will advertise. It's open to anyone in the community that wants to go, but we're in particular targeting the high school students. At the middle school, they are going to be having, they did have already on the 1st last night, and again next week. We've had it in the past. It's a hidden in plain sight promotion. It's actually a table that helps parents to identify what you need to look for, because some of the vaping products, you would have absolutely no idea that they were that. But instead of doing a separate parent presentation, working with Mr. Dunn, the health teacher, they're going to do a student-led Healthy Choices Fair. So students are going to do some research around it and then do some presentations, which we thought would be a really nice thing, because it's a growing concern, obviously.
Yes, it
So
is.
we're just making sure that we're addressing it. The homecoming, as Ally noted, will be upcoming on the 18th to the 20th. The time of the football game, normally at 7 o'clock on Friday evening, is yet to be determined. We'll advertise that, although I did hear that there's a potential frost coming, hard frost maybe on Saturday morning. So if that happens, things may go back to later, but we won't know. We'll announce that certainly when it comes. And then the preview show, I'm not sure why that is in here, other than to say,
Yes.
both Dr. Chamberlain and I went to the program this past Saturday, and I was only able to get there for a short period. I had a personal commitment for a friend who had passed away. But it was so impressive, and as Aaron said, it was great to have the 4 bands there. That it could not have been a more picture-perfect day. Our students performed really in exemplary fashion, so lots to be proud of. Lots to be proud of.
It's very impressive, I will tell you. It is very impressive
Yeah.
to see them out there.
Mhm.
Love it.
So great, so great. And then finally, the upcoming events, I do want to put in another plug for If They Had Known presentation that will take place at Auburn High School. We'll be advertising that again via Facebook. I know Mr. Hanfield has sent it home, and I believe Mr. Desto, but we'll get that word out again and hope to have a large audience. And then not long thereafter is the fall special town meeting on the 15th.
Okay. And one more thing, Auburn Youth and Family Services is collecting Halloween costumes, new and gently used, so for those in need. So there's drop boxes at Swanson Road, Packagug, and Bryn Mawr, for those that want to donate. Yeah,
And what's the cutoff date?
October 20th, which might even be a weekend, so it's whatever that
Okay.
I don't know. I just threw that out there, but yeah, it's around there. Okay. Teaching and learning report.
Thank you. So first, we do have another full professional day coming up, October 11th, which is next Friday. And we have a number of things happening. Big one at the elementary level will be, it's called PAX, the behavior game. I'm honestly not sure what PAX stands for, but it's a program put out by the Department of Mental Health in conjunction with DESE. It correlates with PBIS, and it helps teachers to create a very vibrant, supportive, empathetic learning community in each classroom. It involves some humor. It involves some fun and some silliness, which is great for elementary kids, yet very clearly helps kids to learn how to work with a peer, how to give feedback, how to accept feedback from people. We had a number of teachers who were trained last year, but we're having it here in the district, so this will allow us for all elementary staff, including specialists, music, art, PE, to attend the training, so it'll really be school-wide. So folks are excited about that. We'll also have Easter Seals coming in, doing some intensive training on the use of communication devices for our students who utilize those. That's a growing population of students, so they're very happy to be able to do that. Across the board, teachers will be digging in further to the MCAS results, which I'll talk a little bit about in a minute, but there's a lot that goes into the data that is provided to us. Teachers at the high school are going to be getting trained on Nearpod, which is another technological tool that allows teachers to push lessons out kind of in a somewhat of a PowerPoint format, but then they can build in responses within that platform, along with links to other things. So they're very excited about that. And we also have Dr. Kusiak. She's a psychiatrist that provides some consult services to us already. Last year, she provided some training on trauma and its impact on the brain and how that can manifest itself in behavior. And she did that for the primary grades, so she's coming back for Swanson Road in the middle school on the 11th. So that'll be a good thing too. So we're looking forward to it. Strengthening Families, which is a program I had spoken about last time I was here, which is happening at the middle school, that will invite some families in to participate in some sessions with our school psychologists and guidance counselors. We currently have 7 families enrolled. We're very excited
great.
about that. We're shooting for 10, and they're still calling folks. So that is scheduled to start October 17th, and we're very excited about it. We are also participating in a STEM Week Challenge, which was put out by MASS along with DESE, Project Lead the Way. That's the week of October 21st to the 25th. Several of our teachers, Mrs. LeBreton, Mrs. DeMeglio, and Mrs. Robbins from Auburn Middle School, went to a free training. Their focus on this STEM Week is zero waste. So at each level, they've been given training, free materials, free everything to bring back to the schools, so that during that week it'll focus on how we can really get to that idea of zero waste. They said the training was phenomenal, so they're excited about that. We also received an offer from Blackstone Valley Education Foundation to have some of our students at the middle school visit some kind of high-tech companies in the area. The participating companies are Lens Americas, Dell Technology, Omni Control, and Waters. So some of our middle school students, along from the Young Engineers Clubs, will be accompanied by Mrs. Robbins out to that. So perhaps we can hear more about it when they return, but she is very jazzed about it, I will say that, so that's good. I did share an article with you prior to the meeting that was put out by the Commissioner of DESE regarding the recent improvement targets, the overall improvement targets that were shared on the accountability results for all districts. You'll note partway through the article where Auburn is lauded for its improvement from 2018 to 2019 under the new accountability standards. Just so that you know that accountability rating includes student achievement and student growth percentiles, high school completion rates, progress toward English proficiency for our English language learners. The impact of chronic absenteeism is also factored into this, and advanced coursework completion. So the number of students you have in AP courses. Project Lead the Way is considered in that as well. So there's a weight that they give to each, and then there's a formula that they use based on these weighted averages with how that accountability works out. So as you can see from our totals in 2018, our accountability percentile was 32%, and we're now at 77%. So it's a combination of efforts that have led to that, but those are the components that they look at. Later in the month, I'll give a more in-depth report on what we're finding. All the schools are digging in now because the results, this is very high level, right? But what does that really mean? Where did we really shine, and where do we need to continue to work? Because there'll always be continued work, right? But it's very exciting, and we have a lot to be proud of in the Auburn Public Schools, that's for sure.
Definitely. That's great. My niece actually is in the gifted program in Worcester, and she participated in that STEM careers, and they went to Dell, and she dressed up in her business outfit and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, she's a freshman in high school, but she loved it, so
that's
I'm
great.
sure Auburn's going to love it as well.
Terrific.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, and next is policies.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So in your packet, there are several different groups of policies. So the first section, other than the first policy there, which is the hiring procedure, in going through this, I believe it had been first created back in 2005. So what I went through was actually to have this reflect the procedure that we currently follow. Now, many of the changes was really just capitalizing school committee and superintendent, but it should outline the procedure that we actually follow as we go through the hiring process. The other ones in that first initial packet really have minor changes to them or no changes at all, those being recommended by MASC. So you may wish to take them in those groups there, I think.
Okay, could I get a motion for the first four policies?
Make a motion to approve the above-named policies as presented.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's a vote.
The second grouping is actually for first reading. So this is policies IJR and KEC. So these actually, and you'll see in this next packet, we're actually going to be eliminating some policies because, for example, these are ones actually recommended by MASC, and in reviewing through them, they satisfy all of the items as noted.
Okay, and could I get a motion on the next?
I'll make a motion to approve the policies IJR and KEC on first reading.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then finally, the last packet is to eliminate 4 policies. They are incorporated within ones that you previously just approved and are no longer needed per MASC's recommendation.
Okay, and could I get one more motion on those?
I'll make a motion to eliminate the above-mentioned policies, KEC-E, IKE-E, IHAM-1-E, and IKAB, because they're no longer recommended or by MASC.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's a vote. And do we have executive session?
We do not.
Okay, that's a wrap.
Oh,
Thank you, everybody.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, yes.
second, now you can, boom.
So eager to just. It's over.
A copy of the letter that you gave me just for this.
So is the
official
reason we're
copy.
here so long because George talks too much?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
We don't have to
probably.
blame him, huh?
Yeah.
Mary Ellen.
Yes.
We're looking
What's
for
that?
an nurse
Can't hear you.
advisors at Assumption.
Yes.
Any of our nurses in district you
Oh.
think would be interested in that?
In a nurse, what?
It's the
Okay,
advisory
yes, this
council
meeting
for
is
Assumption
adjourned.
Oh,
Nursing.
possibly.